What is up? It's your boy Astro, aka the Galaxy Shogun, coming to you with a quick cut of a very interesting part in my last review. It's a theory that I think I basically spelled out pretty well during the review, so I wanted to take some parts of it and kind of post a more focused video on the fact that I believe that there is a fourth ancient weapon. We kind of know generally what all the weapons do right now, but the last chapters have thrown a little bit of a wrench into what we know. The kicker, though, is Emu specifically, or I guess the 20 Kingdoms at the time, which probably involves Emu because at this point it's more or less confirmed that him and the Gorosei are immortals, use the weapon to raise the sea levels. So that is the really confusing part, and and I'll explain why it's the confusing part. In terms of the ancient weapons, let's do a brief summary for those of you who might be forgetting, what they do or what they've been known to do so far. So let's start with Poseidon. Poseidon, being Shirahoshi, has the ability to control the Sea Kings. If there was any weapon I would assume has the ability to raise the sea levels that much, I would assume it would be Poseidon. But from what we know, the Mermaid Princess was originally on the side of Joy Boy. We know at some point Joy Boy apologized to her, but, it's unclear if there's any correlation between that. As of right now, we know that Shirahoshi and I guess Poseidon can do is control the Sea Kings, which in the world of One Piece, that's mostly sea, just like our world, is obviously a very devastating power. I don't think it's underpowered at all. So it having like the additional effect of raising sea levels just would feel a little bit too broken to me. So that's number one. That's Poseidon. Number two, Pluton. So we know Pluton is a battleship, and we know Pluton is being stored underneath the old Wano right now. And basically, Zanisha, Zoe, they're all tied in somehow because Wano has to be opened up for that battleship to be released. If there's any weapon that the allies in the current story, being Luffy and Co., will be using to go up against the big bad, which assumingly would be Emu or Blackbeard at this point, it's going to be Pluton because it's already under Luffy's jurisdiction, which, to be fair, Poseidon also is because Shiroshi is also his friend. The only weapon so far that seems to be under the world government, or Emu specifically, is seemingly Uranus because we've went over Pluton being a battleship. We know that, the big thing in Water 7 was that Frankie had the blueprints and they could basically create another weapon on par of Pluton. So really there could be quite a few Plutons, and it wouldn't surprise me if the government either gets that somehow or has a copy or already had a backup created or has multiple versions of that. That would be pretty cool. And we know that Pluton is probably going to tie into the Thousand Sunny at some point because Frankie is a master shipwright, so it's seriously doubtful that he just like ripped or destroyed the blueprints without memorizing at least a portion of it. If Sunny even has, half of the Pluton built into it. I think that's going to be a serious problem for the world government if they don't have their own ways to counter that. And then obviously we have the original Pluton, which is under Wano, which is currently Luffy's territory after taking down Kaido and becoming an emperor. So, that's two of the weapons that I feel like we have a pretty good idea of what's going on there. I don't believe Pluton would have the power to raise the sea level. So that's two out of three. The last one is a little bit more unknown, which is Uranus. And Uranus, Uranus has a little bit of connections to like the sky and the gods Uranus. I won't go too much into that mythology. I'm sure there's better people for that. But there is some connection to the sky. And there's a big theory that what Emu used, which was confirmed to, be fueled by the mother flame at this point and be an ancient weapon, it rained down from the sky, laser beams, like it was nuts. It was like a million nukes going off at once. Lulusia was completely wiped out. I personally think that this is Uranus, and I think that this was, used to also destroy whatever was going on around Eni's lobby, creating that big circle at one point. It's very unclear, like, what is happening there, but I'm sure we're probably going to find an answer soon. So that basically summarizes all three. My point is, between Poseidon, Pluton, and Uranus, none of them seem to have the power to raise the sea level. So my theory actually is that there's a fourth weapon that either will be all of the weapons combined, or a fourth weapon that's just the absolute top. Like, for example, I'll bring this to Yu-Gi-Oh! There's three Egyptian gods. If you know Yu-Gi-Oh! Lore a bit more, you'd know that actually all of them can combine, and there's like one more ultimate Egyptian god. Never got a lot of attention in the anime, I guess, except for the final arc in Yu-Gi-Oh!, which a lot of people in the West hadn't seen of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monster series. But, maybe the weapons don't even need to combine. My point is there's a fourth weapon, whether that be a combination of the other three, some pieces of the other three needed to activate it. But clearly, the 20 Kingdoms have an ace in the hole. And They may have Uranus and this ace in the hole because, again, from everything we know of these ancient weapons, I don't believe that any of them have the ability to raise the sea levels until we've heard about it now. So that basically confirms that there has to be a fourth weapon or a secret weapon, and the world government has control of it. So there we are. I'm probably going to drop a more in-depth video.